Hey.
Catherine, welcome again.
Hey, nice to be here again.
Yeah.
Hello everybody, thanks for coming. My name is Catherine Ross, I work at Cointelegraph, and we have an amazing panel that we will be discussing blockchain and artificial intelligence. So I will be quick, and I would like to welcome our panelists. Great, guys. Guys, you can go here. Okay.
Where are you?
Where do you want us? You want to
Yeah,
be middle?
choose anything.
Okay.
Democracy in action. Okay, all here finally. Nice to see you guys. I hope this will be fun. Well, artificial intelligence and blockchain. These are two buzzwords. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend. Well, the main idea for me today that we will start with is, do this industry really need each other in the first place? So, does AI need blockchain at all? I mean, it's the system, it's the phenomena that works by itself and learns by itself. So in what way do you think artificial intelligence, if any, need blockchain? So this is my first question. Who would like to answer?
Maybe we do the intro first?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Right, back to business. Sorry, guys. Move again. These are amazing guys that work with blockchain and artificial intelligence, and in order not to mispronounce their names, they're going to introduce themselves. So please start with you. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Catherine.
A little bit about yourself. Yeah.
Hi, guys. My name is Mike.
Hi, Mike.
I'm the CEO of Advanced Blockchain AG, a publicly listed company in Germany. I'm a mathematician. I studied maths in London, spent a lot of time there. Actually started my career as an investment banker, so on the dark side, trading interest rate derivatives for 6 years. And then decided I really wanted to do something completely different and started up a frozen yogurt shop in Berlin and decided food industry is not for me and thought, okay, what do you do then? And that's how I got into the AI direction and joined what was then the fastest growing e-commerce business in Europe, that is Zalando. And for them, I kind of built a team of data scientists and used AI there for the first time, deciding who you as a user would get what payment method, and giving everyone, building algorithms that give every user a fraud probability depending on how you behave on the site. And just to give you a feeling what machine learning algorithms can do there is, if I give you invoice, for example, show you invoice, you're likely to convert on the page with in the checkout process with a likelihood of 95%. If I don't show you invoice, it's in Germany, you only convert with 70%. And for a company that makes 4 billion in revenue, that is a lever of 1 billion that you can turn on and off depending on how your algorithm decides what fraud probability you're assigned. Yeah, I did that for around 3 years. It was around that time that I got into cryptos as well, around 2012, and have been in the crypto sphere since then, basically, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mike. We will try to be quick, right, because we will discuss. Thank you,
Yes,
Mike.
don't worry.
Okay.
I can be efficient. So my name is Maria PENNANEN, and as the name says, I'm a Finn, come from Finland. I was born in Sweden. To make things more complicated, I have a passion for learning. So I was not satisfied with only one master's degree. I actually have 3. So I have a master in science and engineering. I have a master MBA, and then of course third one, I went all the way to France, to INSEAD, to get a master in organizational psychology. So this all packed together, and 70 years of corporate experience, I got enlightened at 2009 when I realized that there's something else in corporate. So 2009, if anyone remembers, Nokia used to be the star of our country, and unfortunately then the way down started, so I even bought an iPhone. And that was the start. But I started working with startups. I started helping them to get in investments and helping them with the businesses. I realized that what was lacking for many startups was that they could very well build a good technical product, but they couldn't actually sell it. And if you can't sell, you can't cash flow, you die. So that was my motto, and that's why I started working with startups. And what we do in Accelerator Frankfurt is that we help actually go-to-market startups to get into the market. So they have already funding, they have a product, they have a track record, and they want to get into the German market. We work with startups in, of course, in blockchain, cybersecurity, and fintech areas.
Okay, thanks, Maria.
Brilliant. My name is Mark MUELLER-EBERSTIN. Last name gives it away. I think I actually studied here in Berlin. But I live in the US for about 20 years. especially for the last years in Seattle, the global AI capital of the world.
Wow.
Microsoft, Amazon, Google has 5,000 people working on AI. I made the mistake of writing a book about the impact of technology on business success about 8 years ago. That led to running a consulting company that tells C-level executives what technology will do and is doing to their businesses. So we're trying to always be on the cutting edge of technology. Things like IoT, AI, the cloud computing stuff, mobile, social over the last years. And then about 4 years ago, looking into what blockchain actually could do. And as an angel investor, advisor to a bunch of VCs, we were putting our money where our mouth is, looking at the right environment. And I try to surround myself with people that are smarter than me. So I'm apparently in really, really good company here.
It sure is.
And try to listen to their advice. And when a good friend of mine told me about this young guy called Vitalik, because he was his attorney, I said, well, there is something there. So the whole Ethereum and everything on top of it, very, very passionate about. We have a couple of companies in the top 100, and I'm always looking for the next companies that are going in that space.
Amazing. Thank you, Mark. Okay, Leif, your turn.
Yeah. Hi, my name is LUNDBAEK. I'm the co-founder and CEO of GEIKE. And we're basically an Oxford University spin-off focusing on cybersecurity protocols and developed a trusted access control protocol, which is kind of like the low level and the kind of like the layer on the machine level communicating with distributed and centralized systems in combination. And we focus, for example, on the mobility space and integrate, for example, with different automotive companies like Porsche or Daimler and so, and kind of like focus there on a user-based access control system. So usually you have mandatory or role-based access control systems, which are kind of like top to bottom. And we are more defining what the user is actually wanting to do with the data and the machine itself, so it's bidirectional in this way. And he can basically decide whether, for example, Porsche itself can actually use some data, or whether someone else can actually use data from the car, like driving behavior data. And this is, of course, an aspect where different machine learning systems, of course, need to access this data, and they can only do this on the behalf of the user, and not on the behalf of the company.
That sounds exciting. Thank you. Okay, Jean, your turn.
Hi, my name is Jean-Charles CABELGUEN, JC from iExec. I'm the Chief of Innovation and Adoption of iExec. iExec is a French company. We aim to build a decentralized cloud marketplace. The purpose is to provide flexible access to on-demand computing resources. So we have presented this morning the V2 of our product. The V2 is a marketplace where it's possible to trade computing resources. We focus on projects that are really in need of computing resources. So AI, for sure, is one of our targeted sectors. And a little background regarding the company. We did the ICO 1 year ago, and we have released the first product in November, the second product this morning, and we are on track to provide a very new way to have access to computing resources. The purpose is to not have a contract with one provider, but to have a flexible access to a wide variety of providers from all over the world, giving access to their available computing resources.
Thank you, and congrats on your beta today. Okay, Dmitry.
Hey, my name is Dmitry. I'm in the field of industrial application of artificial intelligence for the past 10 years. I sold my previous company 2 years ago, and right after that, we were focused how to scale and make AI easier for every industry, for every big corporation. And now we are focused and we built that crowdsourced platform which able to create AI for any industry like healthcare, surveillance, quality control, predictive maintenance, and we already have a lot of use cases. We don't focus on computational power. We focus on data annotation, cross-validation, how to provide liquidity of millions of workers across the globe who can go through data and add some meaning, and how to build models on top of this data. So we also have the biggest community of data scientists, counting right now 12,000 data scientists. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oof, what a panel. Okay, guys, so the panel itself is called How Blockchain Takes AI to Another Level. But my question is still the same. Does AI really need blockchain? I would like to start with Maria, if you don't mind.
Well, of course, I think AI definitely needs blockchain. I think what many people are afraid of, actually, most of us don't even understand what kind of data AI is using when it's creating all these results that we have. So blockchain can, of course, definitely help in that. So, and it can help on this peer-to-peer transfer of information, and giving it back anonymously. I think it has a great potential in combined with other technologies.
Okay, Mark, what do you think?
No, I think the synergies are definitely there. I think if you're looking at all the technology revolutions over the last couple of decades, they all built on top of each other, making themselves stronger, building on top of each other for sure. If you're thinking about AI, and I think the point you made is about data, who owns the data? We're in a model right now where we give our data free, somebody does something with it, put machine learning against it, put AI against it. But is that really the right approach? If I'm parking my car in a parking lot, I allow them to take care of my car, but not to drive it around or rent it out or do something else with it. So how do I control it? Blockchain, I think, is a perfect opportunity to making sure that data ownership, providing access to whoever needs it when I want them to give it to them, and then this depends what they do with it. And again, with the amount of data we have, AI now on top of it can create completely new experiences for the end users, but also in the industrial world. I mean, there are so many opportunities, and I can go on for an hour, but I think there might be one or two people who want to chime in.
Anything else have anything on their minds? Yeah, sure, Dmitry.
Yeah, in our company, we believe that the best application of blockchain is whenever you have some trust issues. And in the AI field, there's a lot of trust issues, because whenever you have the whole data set, you can re-engineer like any solution. So if you have data set which is labeled and some of your competitors are going to steal the data, actually they stole the model from you. So in AI, it's like very important to provide this like trust layer. For example, we leverage blockchain for crowdsource of data annotation and data cross-validation. Whenever you have like millions of workers across the globe, most of them don't even have bank accounts. So for them, like it's really like impossible to accept like fiat money. And we need to be sure that every piece of data labeled in a good quality, and at least like 10 independent workers gonna cross-validate and have consensus that that data was labeled with a good quality. And blockchain here is like very important, because without blockchain, who's gonna be responsible to decide whom to pay or whom not to pay?
Yes, that's actually, you've mentioned trust issues,
Yeah.
right? So this is what we get a lot, because people do not really trust AI because they don't know about it, right? I mean, general public, not professionals like you, of course. So do you think there is something we can do to overcome these barriers, to raise the trust and the awareness of public of AI, plus AI and blockchain? I mean, people just don't trust it because, well, because of all the movies we saw and because we don't understand how it works. So how to overcome these fears? What do you think?
So I think this is actually one of the things that blockchain can do for AI. Due to the immutable ledger, you can have training sets encrypted and not have everyone hack into it that easily, and so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. It's I think one of the main points that blockchain can do for AI, because I think the whole notion that AI becomes so powerful that at some point it will take over the world and destroy the humanity and stuff, I think to me this is out of the question, and this is not going to happen, because there's no correlation between just pure intelligence and evil. This is something inherent to us as human beings, and only to men, not really to women. But it's nothing to do with AI. But having said this, the real risk is, and it always has been with humanity, good technology that people at higher levels of consciousness came up with falls into the hands of people with lower levels of consciousness and is then misused and mistreated. The whole thing can happen with AI as well. So it falls into the wrong hands, and I think blockchain can build the security layer that it needs to prevent this from happening.
Any real use cases in mind? exactly doing that right now? It's not pitching time, but just real use cases.
I just would like to add something. The trust issue, it's a big matter for sure, but in digital areas, there is two layers. There is the infrastructure layer and the process layer. The infrastructure, it's about hardware, and the process is about software. Often people think about AI mostly regarding the software layer. The hardware layer is also really important. We talked previously when I presented iExec about the computing power, but it's also how we create, how we gather data. And in the future, we have seen that the decentralization of sensors help us to gather data from all over the world for specific sectors or for wide sectors. And blockchain, it's a very useful tool to be sure that the way to gather data join the trust issue we have on the software level.
Okay, and how would you market that to the general public?
Yeah, for example, we have sensors. It could be a band for sport activity. It could be sensors in the public space regarding the crowd who is walking in the space. It could be sensors on cars. It could be sensors on buildings regarding the activity, the consumption of electricity, etc. So having that in mind, that hardware and software are really important to have a global view regarding how AI and blockchain could collaborate. Yeah, I think it's important.
Thank you.
Well, looking at the transparency of especially Bitcoin transaction, it's happy day for law enforcement. You basically have all those transactions out there. What do you think the FBI and the NSA are doing? They are utilizing that data to find patterns. They're using machine learning, AI, to figure out who is doing what, whose wallet is what, and trying to figure out where are the bad guys and going after them.
But I think it's still, it has, of course, like you said, it depends in whose hands is it and what you want to do with it. I, of course, come from Finland. You know, we all think everybody should know everything. If you didn't know that, but actually in our country, already today, you can log into the internet and check how much people earn. Anybody who earns more than 150,000 euros, you can just check how much they make. And this is, you know, what we believe you should share the data. And I think for that kind of nations, it's not a problem. You know, have everything on blockchain. You decide. I think Estonia is doing it already. You know, the government. So you own your own data. You can decide when you share it. And of course, there are plenty of startups, you know, who are also in this area. So I think, of course, then if you think yes, you can be used it for, you know, not nice, you know, applications also like controlling people, spying on them, or whatever you want to call it, but it depends.
Well, that actually raises the question from my previous panel. It was about privacy, but how to protect your data, how to make sure that I'm the one controlling my data. You've been silent. Can you just?
Yeah, I think also like on terms of privacy, I think it's really important. What we can actually achieve here is kind of like distributed machine learning. So not really one central source of data, but actually different sources of data, creating different models, and actually achieving kind of like a consensus what model to take in what situation, without basically a user basically, for example, sharing all the driving behavior data. We can actually achieve kind of like autonomous driving applications for certain areas without basically sharing this private data. But then it's also about adding basically some determinism to AI solutions here, which is of course also really needed for this trust issues of AI solutions. Because otherwise, for example, in these distributed machine learning solutions, you can actually have like a vast attack vector of integrating basically false information and false models basically into these solutions. And blockchain basically enables here that you actually know that this data is coming from an actual device, because this actual device has basically an address here and has certain functionalities that are basically registered.
Can I just pile on this? I think if you're talking about trust in a trustless environment, when you have AIs and algorithm actually start to communicate with each other, it's not only AI to human, but it's really AI to AI, machine learning algorithm to machine learning algorithm, exchanging information, competing about what's the right approach, or even having a payment structure between Cortana and Alexa. So really trying to figure out what's happening and creating marketplaces between them.
And this is a great point, because to me this is the second most important thing that what blockchain brings to AI is basically envisioning a world where AI is not really in the hands of people or someone, but actually in its own agent, because some of the algorithms we don't understand what they do really anyway, and blockchain gives them the possibility to exchange value with another AI agent. And so, you know, this agent comes up with some solved problem or great algorithm that's trained and gives a great output, and he can sell this via blockchain to another AI agent. And this is, this is great because we are in this accelerating curve, and you need this technology to keep up this acceleration.
This sounds like a bright free world, but a little bit of spoiler alert, probably regulators will be willing to do something about it, because this is something that I can control, but I'm pretty sure the governments and officials would like to control it also. So where does this border and line begin when I myself decide that my privacy, that I control it? And then, so how do you think regulators will look at this artificial intelligence and blockchain consensus? What do you think? Because this is something we can't really control because we don't know the outcome.
Yeah, but I think it depends. You can, of course, you can make smart contracts.
Sure.
You can make boundaries on what kind of data the AI is allowed to access. I think it's about how do you construct it. Of course, you can't always foresee or see what's going to happen. Yeah. But you can try to be as intelligent as possible in how you construct them.
Do you think it should be controlled? Because it's technology we're talking about.
I think it's.
Yeah, there is a balance between trust issue and transparency. And sometimes to gain the trust of government, it's also important to be transparent. For example, often Bitcoin, it's considered that dangerous because it could be used for money laundering or for financing terrorism. Everyone who has a small background into blockchain know that it's a stupid thought. Nevertheless, a lot of institutions think that. And AI could help us to track what have been the previous usage of Bitcoins or cryptocurrency. So in order to gain trust and to have the possibility to have private action, it's also important to provide transparency regarding how cryptocurrency is used. And using AI to provide this transparency and to provide an auditing type of tool for institution could be also a way to gain the validation.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah, and when people think about AI, they think, okay, is this something in the future, and I don't know, it's dangerous or whatever, do I trust it? But AI is already here all the time. I mean, and even the definition of AI keeps changing all the time. Back in the day, they used to call the black box that records all the data in an airplane AI. Yeah, now this thing is dumber than your cell phone. Yeah, but you don't call this AI. But its technology is around us all the time and keeps evolving with us. And it's part of us as well. It's like it grows out of us. It's an extension of us. We already communicate with our cell phones to each other and around the globe by that kind of collapsing time and space. It's here already, and it's merging with us. This is like an extension of ourselves, and AI is exactly that. It's gonna continue. It's not AI and us. It's going to be AI together with us, basically. Yes. If envision a future, I don't know, in 20 years' time, Kurzweil says, for example, that nanobots will be small enough to be injected in our bloodstreams. We'll be connected automatically with these AI intelligences. What that looks like, I have no idea. Do I trust it? I don't know, but it's happening anyway. So we better find safe environments for this to grow. There's no way of stopping it. Just keep up an open communication of how to let it happen in the most healthy way.
And make sure the communication is really across functional or boundaries. It's not only an IT discussion. It's a discussion that involves sociology, economics, but also philosophy and ethics. I mean, there's so many questions that are coming our way. We have, as a society, have to think it through. Where does improvement start and stop? What's acceptable? What do we do with our kids? Do we have them have stuff implanted in them because somebody else has it done or not? Those are the questions we have to answer ourselves, and as a society have to discuss.
Yes, this is a fair point.
And also what is important is to explain what AI is. Often people think about AI like being really smart, but AI we live in today is soft AI, so it's dumb programs that are really good to do one thing, and sometimes one thing plus another one. And so it's not the same like a robot being able to conquer the world. So this AI, soft AI, is everywhere, and for sure mixing ethics and mixing different sectors that are really close also to sectors that have created blockchain is the key for development in the future.
You're saying we're using it every day, guys. Like Mike said the same. But can you give an example of everyday use of artificial intelligence?
Well,
Yeah, you gave one, but yeah, Jean.
Sorry, an example?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't
Of
quite get
everyday use of artificial intelligence. And-
Everyday use
yes.
of artificial intelligence.
Well, you mentioned our phones, smartphones, right, and program and software. Jean, talking about software, can you give us an example?
Yeah, if we talked about soft AI that is really skilled to do one thing, it could be just using Google. When you use Google Inbox, Google Map, Google Calendar, Google is able to cross data and to find a pattern, to gather these data to give you some advice. That's a way of using basic AI, but it's basic, but it's also really efficient.
Mm-hmm. Dmitry, do you
and
have
I
any?
think for
Sorry.
example, in healthcare,
Yeah.
it's I think a great example. I mean, I think we all want to own our own data, that we were talking
Yes.
about it, and we want to choose when you want to share
it with.
And there are, of course, startups and I'm sure more developed companies also doing it. So then you can have it stored somewhere, and you can choose when you use it. You go to a doctor, you want to show them certain data, and maybe to employ some other data, and maybe you want to sell some, for research purposes, your data. I mean, these are.
Yeah, but even on the small scale, most of the bots, if you're talking to on a website, and you start single-use artificial intelligence, where does it start? Where does it stop? Siri, Google Voice, whatever. And then, of course, the companies that are running the marketing today, that are running campaigns, all the data that is coming in is machine data. It's collected. You run AIs about it. You do A/B testing and figuring out what can be improved to get a bigger impact and bigger bang for your buck.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, guys?
Yeah,
on this one?
just to complete what I said before, to go more further than gathering data, there is some blockchain project that use people to train AI algorithm. Instead of doing one training by one company, they use a network of people who are volunteer to share computing resources, for example, and to train algorithm, and they are incentivized thanks to tokens.
Thanks. I have an odd question. This might sound weird, but what do you think the worst case scenario? Yeah, the worst case scenario of collaboration with artificial intelligence with blockchain can actually, well, I don't think so, but do you think can actually one industry overtake another in any sense? So what is the worst case scenario of this collaboration?
Other than Skynet?
Yeah, I knew somebody would say that. Yeah. So Skynet is the only scenario you can think of?
I think AI could be used to hack some blockchain, because blockchain protection is based on encryption. And encryption, it's a way to be sure that a third party cannot have access to data or to information. So a good encryption, it's an encryption that is vulnerable for attack with a bad ROI, return on investment. Every encryption is vulnerable. There is no encryption that are attack-proof. But the cost to attack an encryption, to attack a blockchain, should be really high in order to not motivate people to attack the data. So AI could be a tool to help some hackers to optimize the return on investment for the attack. So that could be a way to describe a bad scenario.
I also think that, AI, of course, increases kind of like non-determinism on blockchain systems. And blockchain systems, of course, very deterministic in this way. And of course, there's really like a soft border of really doing it right. I mean, if you add too much flexibility here, of course, this can be exploited very easily. And because, of course, you can also include certain machine learning algorithms on protocol level to improve protocols, for example, to make them more flexible. Because in many situations, you kind of like set up blockchain systems in very kind of like dynamic environments. And this, of course, is also bad because, of course, these environments change over time and blockchain doesn't change. So there might be very positive ways, of course, of including these machine learning algorithms on protocol level, and there have been also quite significant achievements on that side, but always it adds insecurity, really.
That's a great point. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
I think we're moving into a future where we're going to be happy giving our data away, and not by away mean I'm giving it to some algorithm who then takes the data. It's going to be in a blockchain because we're not really giving it away. It's encrypted, it's lying there, but some algorithm, some AI has control of it, and then tells us really how we're going to live our lives, because it can do it so much better than we can. It will even tell us in the morning what song we should hear to make us feel the best about ourselves. It's going to go that far, and we're going to do it because it works. It's going to know us so much better than we can ever know ourselves, and it's going to tell us what exactly to eat, what to do, what to work on, and so on. Sounds scary, but that is like us merging with it, really. Now,
I think for me, it's the worst case scenario.
It's not. It's not, because it's still
free choice.
It's not, because you will feel so much better about yourself, and you still feel like you're making the decision, even though the machine is doing the decision for you. But where's really the difference between you and the machine at that point? Who cares? As long as you feel good about yourself, as long as you're embracing every moment of you being alive at that stage. But so that's your question, where does it become dangerous?
Yes.
Is we're going to build this in the most safe environment possible. And I think that, and blockchain is going to help us do that. But is it going to be foolproof to 100%? I don't know. I mean, that's exactly where the risk is. If someone hacks into that system and kind of manipulates, is able to manipulate it, and you rely on it, everyone relies on it so much, trusting the machine so much.
And I think, what if it's, like you said, it starts making decisions for us. Like it decides who's going to live and who's going to die.
It's already,
no, it's already
happening. Google Maps decides which route I'm taking. Oh. It's already happening. This is what I mean, right? It's not like this is something in the future. AI already decides on so many things in my life. If you follow it, but it does make my life so much better, because I'm taking the route that's the shortest, and it works so great, and that's why I'm using it.
Yeah, what we want is something like Santa Claus creepy, knowing what we want, not like the NSA creepy one, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but I think the humans, somebody said this, I think you're about capable to make 10 good decisions in a day. Some people are really smart, maybe they're 20, but why do you waste your decision making on which shirt to wear in the morning? Or which song to play.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, if you can, one of the best decisions, getting a personal assistant that actually helps you to make your life easier, that anticipates what you're doing. And why does it have to be a person and can't be an AI?
Okay, well, that sounds a little bit scary.
That personal assistant.
It is, I'm sorry.
That kind of personal assistant, yes. But
so,
that you can limit it. Yeah.
I think it's actually time to take questions from the audience. We have 10 minutes left, so guys, please, we'll welcome your questions. And I think we have a question, right? Yeah, I saw a hand. Can anybody help us with this soft microphone?
Where's the
yeah, I think.
Where is the microphone? You want to come closer? I have a hand microphone.
Hey guys, from
microphone.
BlockShow. Guys.
Otherwise, come closer. Yeah. Come closer. I have a microphone. We'll figure this out. Okay, here we go.
Oh, please introduce yourself, okay? Okay, thanks.
Martin Hoffmann, hello. So I'm from the business intelligence originally. So we heard a lot of data prediction and predictive analytics at the moment. But the real AI for me is some kind of robotics, is kind of real-time decisions, maybe swarm technology. And the question for me is, how can blockchain really interact with this technology of artificial intelligence that will help me, to take probably not even to make a decision based on my past data that is analytical somehow in the algorithm subscribed, but even to predict and to suggest me something that I never thought about. Yeah.
So, can you please repeat the question short, because I'm confused myself.
Yes.
So, in short, once again.
A lot of topics that we talked about were mostly based on data that is already there, or about analytics, advanced analytics for me, and we talked less about artificial intelligence itself. And for me, the question is, how can blockchain really interact with artificial intelligence as I understand artificial intelligence in this way? Thank you.
Okay, thanks for your question. Any ideas?
So I think it's linked to the definition of AI, the second part I talked about, the hard AI with more like a smart, really smart program, being able to improvise in an unknown environment. And even smart AI use past data to evolve and to adapt. It's like children. At first, there is no specific skills, but based on the environment and based on one purpose, it could be living. Based on one purpose, the AI should adapt and will implement new processes in order to be efficient, performant, and to be able to do the task you want to achieve, living, for example. So even for that type of AI, big data are important. Training data is also key. So what will be important, it's also how much data we can implement through blockchain using AI models. So we have seen that today blockchain is still not really efficient to store data, it's still not really efficient to compute data, but there is a lot of solutions, sidechain, off-chain, etc., to help us having more efficient, more products that are really short in time regarding their implementation. So that would be a way to go.
Maybe another way for me to think about it is a simple way is you have a lot of specialized AIs and blockchain provides a ledger where the transactions or communication between the AIs are happening, hopefully and likely more efficient and transparent way where we can actually see what's happening between it as well.
Thank you.
In my view, it's also more about the trust, actually. So to actually have a ranking system of whether you actually trust the agent that does this real-time decision. It's not really about transmitting this decision, actually, in real time, because therefore blockchains will surely not be suitable to do the real-time transmissions, but it's really more about the trust, in my view.
Thank you. Okay, your question.
Hello, I'm Felipe. I'm from Brazil,
hey,
and I'm also a software developer and techie. Well, we all know that AI, especially on media or social media and news, it can lead to an echo chamber that you only get data and information that it's suited for you and for your opinions and tastes. With the transparency of blockchain, with holding these data, do you think it helps democratizing this data in a sense that it can avoid this echo chamber to improve data variability to AI and to make facts more actual and trustworthy and not be fake news or
Totally, I think it can totally help with that problem, which is a big problem. Totally agree with you, because right now you go online, you search for something, and you find lots of different incentives behind what you read. People showing you stuff. There's an incentive. They're usually trying to sell you something, a US presidency or whatever. But with distributed ledger technology, the incentive structure is made transparent and inherently built into the system. And that's one of the key facts that makes distributed ledger technology so great, is that you have a transparent incentive structure. You see what the outcome is, the articles that you see, and you say, hey, okay, I don't like this. Decentralized decision, okay, this is crap. You change the incentive structure, see what comes out, and everything is transparent. Yeah? So I think it's absolutely, together with AI algorithms, absolutely a great way to tackle this problem.
Yeah, today algorithm of AI regarding the social network and social media are not made for the consumer, but for advertiser, for people who want to sell something. And blockchain could help to switch the paradigm and to be sure that the algorithm will serve the readers, the users, and not the companies that are behind.
But the advertising you're talking about in social media is actually built a bit on artificial intelligence because it builds on your preferences. And about fake news, as a journalist, it's written by people. So I really like the question, and the question to you, Mike. Do you think there's any way in which way blockchain artificial intelligence can decentralize the pitches that we get from different sources in that way. So this will eliminate fake news. This is your idea was, did I understand it correctly?
Yeah, so, yeah.
Sounds like a tough one, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It is an absolute tough one. So this is, and to be very honest and frank with you, I don't have the solution on my hand.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Fake news are written by journalists that whether got really bad pitch or decided to do it on purpose.
Right,
So this
but I think what he's
yeah.
also talking about is who decides. It's still the algorithm that decides when you Google something what comes up
Yes,
first,
so
and what
the
you're going to be,
agent.
what is shown,
Yeah.
what of those articles is shown to you,
Yeah.
and the algorithm also decides maybe later on which one is more likely to be fake news, which one is written by someone who's got a better reputation, maybe it's upvoted by the community, all these different mechanisms which are included in the decision making, and this it can be made transparent.
It can
So
make, can.
it can be made
Yes,
transparent
not exactly
with
will.
distributed
Yeah.
ledger
Yes.
technology, and this is where I think it can
Yeah.
help. But you're absolutely right, there will always be people writing the content, and there will always be fake news.
Yeah.
There is some project wishing to provide scanning services on the website in order to put some red flag when information are false. So it's an AI algorithm that scan the content, and the purpose is to help the reader to be sure that what he's reading is right or is not right. And they gather a lot of data to they scrap internet to verify
Based on
that.
what? Because we're
But
journalists.
yeah,
we're
for sure.
trying
So
to
if they
figure out
scrap
ourselves.
internet and if every information on internet regarding that topic is false, so for sure there is no red flag. But if we can find information that are rated being good information and written by people who are trusted, who should be trusted, so the rating of the information will be high and the flag will be green or
So-
red.
But
It's
I
about
think
the
it
rating,
also
yeah.
depends who owns the
Yeah.
internet or whatever it is that you're
Exactly.
looking at. I mean, they
Exactly.
of course have different incentives, so I think it's always a bit more complex than we think.
Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, I think we have a time for one more question. Do you? Yes, sure.
Hi, thanks for
Hi.
the discussion. I'm
Thank you for
Andre.
listening.
Yeah. I like the notion that Michael brought in, and it is to view AI and technology as like an extension of our own consciousness. And I also like the notion of habits, because our own development comes down to the habits and the decisions we make. So the tools we build will shape us in return. How do we want to shape our tools to shape ourselves? So how do you envision effective tools to improve our own and our collective development? What are your ideas on that?
Yeah, I think we're already doing it, right? We're kind of doing it not in a very conscious state. We're kind of like stumbling into this and then seeing, oh wow, what's happening? But we're slowly now realizing what we're doing and doing things more consciously. And having this discussion right here is a great example of this fact, that we really have to be careful and make very conscious decision what technology we're building and in what way we're building it. And this whole decentralization that distributed ledger technology is bringing to the table is also a way of us learning that centralizing these decisions is not the best way we can go about it and build technology. The best way is actually, the best technology is built in a decentralized manner where everyone has a right and a say in how it's being built.
Yeah. Try again.
Hi. In a way, it is taking back responsibility, right? Because before, things has been built and has been decided, and we get used to it. But now we are getting in a collective state in which we decide how we want to live. So again, if you try to answer that, how do you envision effective tools that help us communicate effectively and develop effectively?
I think there is two layers, the tools and how the tools guide us. So for the tools, there is qualitative and quantitative tools, and invasive and non-invasive tools. So there is a difference between taking a picture of my meal in order for the AI to advise me regarding or you have eaten that type of food, you were tired just after, so you have to avoid that type of food, or having a captor inside my intestine to manage and to measure my glucose level, for example. So there is different type of input, so quantitative, qualitative, invasive, non-invasive. And after that, you have to compute and to go through algorithm. And blockchain will help us to decide if we want also to use it and like a guide, like a guidance, and to use it like it's imposed to us. And for example, we can imagine that our social security and our medical advisor won't be reimbursed because we have eaten bad food during more than 1 week. So this approach is that we impose a result of AI. Is not a guidance to help people to eat well in order to be in a good health. So having access and managing the data, it's a way to avoid this type of future.
I'm sorry, we ran out of time. I'm really sorry. So this sounds like we need to have one more panel, right? Because there is still a lot to be asked. I would like to thank you all for coming, for taking the time. Thank you, your amazing audience. Thank you for listening. And have a great day. Enjoy BlockShow. And join us at the after party.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Catherine, thank you.
Thank you.
All
it
of
was
the
a
speakers,
pleasure.
thanks again. Thanks, Catherine. Thanks.